Soylesilere hoş geldiniz. Bugünkü konuğum Afrika'dan Kate. Welcome, Kate.
Thank you. Hello.
I'm so appreciated you are spending time with us. You accept that invitation.
My pleasure. I'm happy to do it.
Thank you. Could you please start to introduce yourself? Who you are? Where do you live? Where are you from?
Okay. My name's Kate, Kate Delavaolu. I'm from South Africa, and I've lived in South Africa my whole life, my parents as well as my grandparents, and yeah, I'm happy to be right in the southern part of the world.
Can you tell us like what you are doing there and how is the place and do you have any friends who's from different nationality over there?
So, like I said, I've lived in South Africa my whole life, born and raised, and
Mhm.
currently I'm a stay-at-home mom. So my full-time job is looking after my baby girl. Prior to that, I've worked in events and I've been a sales administrator. So I've done office work. And yeah, so kept myself busy until now, this stage of life, as a wife and mother, like I said. Um, I I have lots of South African friends, obviously, who come from different backgrounds. Since marrying my husband, who is Turkish,
Mhm.
I have now widened my friend group to a wonderful Turkish community here where we live. So I'm very grateful for that.
Do you have a large community there, Turkish community?
In the city that we live, it's a smaller community than that of Pretoria or Johannesburg and Cape Town.
Mhm. So I just feel that there's a great story behind how you meet with Dilaver, your husband, right? So
Yes.
would you mind to explain a little bit? How did you meet with him?
Um, it all boils down to my mother. My mother introduced us. They live in the same apartment block. So my mom and Deliver became neighbors, and I wasn't living at home. I lived in my own house,
Mm.
and my mom said, "Oh, I've met a neighbor who's a bachelor, and I really want you to meet him." And my mom told Deliver, "I have a daughter for you. I really want you to meet her." So my mom did the matchmaking, and yeah, we met each other and fell in love and got married, and now have a child.
Nice. It's nice. I want to get the great part from the stories to make sure we learn what we should learn. Like, so it means your husband show great personality then, right? To as a neighbors to your mom.
Yes, I mean, what in my experience, since meeting Delava and also um, becoming friends with the Turkish community, is that the Turkish culture has a very open heart, very welcoming spirit. They are very giving,
Mm.
and so my husband would take meals to my mom and my stepfather, and if he had friends over and they were having a big meal, he would make a plate and take it over to them. So he we were joking the other day that in this neighborhood that we live in, he's very famous because not really, but we're just joking because um, he's given so much of himself, and that's not just him, that's his culture and how he was raised. So my mom just saw this wonderful mannered man that had respect and was just a good man,
Yes.
and she wanted that for me. So that's what led her to introducing us.
Yes, because you might be a good friends with your neighbors, but to make sure your daughter will see and maybe meet and encourage them
Yes,
for marriage, you should see
yes,
something really important. And you
yes,
said
exactly.
giving so much is really important to you and to your mom. Can you explain that how? And we can look around the world as well. I think
Yes.
world needs that, like right? The humanity needs that to be able to give back to community or other
Humanity
people.
needs kindness. I think it all boils down to kindness and love and respect. I would say those three things are key to living together in unity and in peace. So those are good qualities, and those are qualities that that God tells us to have for one another,
True.
love, respect, and kindness. And I my mom saw that in my husband, and I would hope that I carry those qualities. I was raised to have those qualities. So as soon as we met, we were it's what put us on the same level,
Mm-hmm.
because we shared that.
Yes, and that's perfect. That's perfect to catch that same quality, to be able to
Yes,
give back the community together. Even with your child, you said you have a baby, and
yes,
hopefully you will do it as a family together. Just you will give that to the world, like kindness,
yeah,
respect, and love. So,
yeah.
why do you think, Kate, we are missing that this year, or it was always like that? The world. What do you think? Have you ever think about it? Because
I
all
don't
the
think it
religion,
was
right? All
always
the
like,
religion encourage.
pardon?
I mean, like not only Islam,
Yeah,
Christianity, Jewish, like I think every religion encourage that, like love
yes,
one another.
yes,
I know like
yes,
Christians, they said love your neighbors, like, right? So
yes, yes.
why we are missing that then?
Um, the simple answer that comes to my head would be, I think the day and age we live in now is a very selfish, self-absorbed um, culture. It's all about what
I need.
yourself.
Hmm.
Yeah, what I need, what I want, yeah. So I think how we got to this stage, I don't know. I I don't think it's always been like that, but I think right now, um, the simple problem is that it's a very selfish. We
True.
we we can we can easily be self-absorbed if we're not aware.
True. So
Yeah,
you're right. Like maybe we can't figure it out why it's like that now. But we
yeah,
everybody, I think, every family, every individual should think about it. What I can do to change.
yes,
So
yeah.
so when you think about it with your husband as a family, what do you come up? Which idea you have come up? Like we do the same things. I have three kids, and me and my husband we talk about it. We never make dream like my child will be a doctor, but we always have a dream like I hope our children will be activists. They will do something good
Yes,
for the world. So how
yes,
how
yes.
you made your plans? Can you tell us?
I think it all boils down to how we can make a difference. So, like, every decision is based on how will it affect others? How will it affect us? We consider others as well as ourselves. Um, we you do there's you do have to think about how it's going to affect your family and yourself, but you have to also consider others.
Mhm.
It can't always be about us. So so we always, in short, every decision we make is considering or considerate of others.
Mhm. True, true. Let's talk about like what was the most interesting thing when you meet with your husband with the Turkish community. What was the most interesting thing?
Um, I the thing that took me by surprise
Mhm.
was how welcoming the community was, how open they were to an outsider coming into their community. Um, they have taught me so much. Not only, and they've taught me culturally, what just because I've never been to Turkey before, so I've never experienced the Turkish culture. Um, so I was very green with the ins and outs. So they've just been very kind in how they've encouraged me to learn, not just the food, but the just the culture. Yeah.
That's
And
interesting. Right.
so what's been the best is just the love I've experienced, the openness, and it's just been great.
Mhm.
I've totally enjoyed becoming
Part
part
of
of the Turkish
culture.
community.
That's really good. That also shows that it's not only your husband. Like you see the same thing with all community. Then
Yeah, yes.
that's really important. That's really, nice. So what about him? Like, but he's surprised when he get married about your culture. Is he ever say?
What surprised him about us? I don't know. He's never said.
Because I think it's like mutual conversation, right? Like we learn from one another. I'm sure you teach him something
Yes,
too. Like for
yes, I'm
example,
sure I have. He's just
I like
hasn't
to admit
admitted
that, and I
it.
wanna tell it in front of everybody, like what we talked before we start
You'll have
recording.
to ask him
I
that
did not.
question.
For example, I did not email you or text you about how we will do our conversation or
No.
questions. It makes you a little worried because you want to be well prepared. So this is
Yes,
about our
exactly.
culture. Like we do a lot of like last minute actions. So it's something
Oh, yes,
interesting.
I've learned that. I'm very planned and focused, and I need to know what the next step is. I need to know what time we're leaving, if we're going somewhere, how, I plan a trip. Whereas my husband is very spontaneous and
Yes.
will decide the morning that we're leaving in an hour. So we've done a bit of travel together, and it was the first time we traveled together, it was a big learning curve because I wanted to plan what activity we were going to do every day. And he was like, no, we'll see when we get there. So yes, that's one thing about it.
So it's true. Like
I think I would hope that we would balance each other out, because in
yeah.
some situations being planned and organized is needed, and in some situations you do need to be spontaneous. So I would hope that we balance each
I'm
other
sure. I'm sure. But this is very nice. Like it is what I was trying to say.
out.
We are teaching something each other, and the
Yes,
different cultures, every culture, their own nice things, and hopefully you are sharing
absolutely.
that.
Yes, absolutely.
So what
Yeah.
about food? Let's talk about the food culture because it's something we like to introduce our food to people. And you said the culture already so generous and open. But
Yeah.
can you tell me your experience with Turkish food?
I've never eaten so much since since becoming part of the Turkish community. I every time we go and meet together to have a meal, there's just an abundance of food, and it's just lovely to share a meal together. I've loved the can you say ceremony of the eating, like the soups, and then after that the next course, and then the tea after that. And I've always been a tea drinker. I mean, it's my ancestry. I'm from England, so like we drink tea. So but the tea glasses are just so beautiful, and everything's presented so well. It's not just dished up on the plate. It's all presented beautifully, and and sharing a meal together is always a special thing. So I don't know if in the beginning it was just because I was new, everyone wanted to make me their food from their area, because everyone's from different areas in Turkey. So I mean, Turkey's huge, and the different foods and flavors depending on the area you're from is sometimes very different.
True.
So it's been great, and my flavors are changing. I would say my culture in South Africa, because South Africa is made up of many cultures. So my upbringing, I would say the food we eat is very bland. So not very strong flavors are used. Whereas the Turkish food I've tasted, it's like the red pepper flakes and the pepper paste, and that's got a little bit of a zing to it and a tang to it. So even my palate is developing into enjoying those stronger flavors than what I'm used to.
Yeah. Yeah, when you start to talk about the food, I just remembered ashura. Have you ever eat nos?
Yes, I have.
So I
Yes.
idea of nos pudding, like all different things together. You never think chickpeas and peach will be nice together, but
No, you
all
would
are
never think
together and
chickpeas as sweet.
yes, and it's together and it's perfectly taste when you eat it. It's always remind me like a world and different people
Yes.
all together. So can you explain? Have you ever eat an ashura? You said I think yes. Your
Yes, I have
experience.
a few times, and I've every time has been a little bit different. I think because it is a pot or a dish that whatever you have, you put together. Hey, I've never made it or watched it being made, but I have eaten it. So I've enjoyed it every time.
Yeah, I just want to remind whoever watched like our interview, hopefully they will remember that too. It's not when you eat or learn about different cultures' food, you're learning about actually their culture. So Ashura is
Yeah.
perfect example, I think. Like all together,
And
it's like world and it's sweet.
Ashura is, correct me if I'm wrong, it's traditionally made to share with your neighbors.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
Your
everyone
neighbors, your
else.
Cornwallic, like it's the whole idea to share and remind people we are different, but we can work together, we can live well together. So that's why I
Yeah,
love the idea. I just remember that and I want to share with you.
yeah.
That's
It's
cool.
so.
So have you ever tried, like, what is your favorite food to cook?
Um, well, my Turkish cooking is not good just yet,
I'm sure your mom.
but um, one day I'll get it. Um, I've what have I tried? I don't know the names of them though. I battle, but red lentil soup I can
Okay,
make.
perfect.
That's a start. Um, and then I've tried hashlama. Hashlama?
Haşlama, yes.
I've tried it. I don't think I got it correct. And I make kumak every weekend for breakfast. So I think I make good kumak. The
Kuimak,
break-
kuimak.
yes,
I don't know
yeah.
that. How to? I don't know how to make this.
It's
Cheese?
the cheese, yeah, with the maize. No, what's it? The cornmeal and the
Yes, the
cheese.
Canadians. Oh yes, Black Sea area, the food.
Yes, Black
Oh,
Sea area. Yes.
wow. So you're well done.
Yeah.
So
So
my next question, Kate. So you said you have never been go to Turkey yet,
no, I
but
haven't.
I believe you like to go. So can
Oh,
you
yes.
can you tell me? Let's start with the sad part. How much you know what is going on about Turkey?
I know quite a bit. I've learned quite a bit since obviously becoming involved in the community and yeah, with my husband. So I have learned a bit, and it breaks my heart. It just
Yeah, I really want to hear your opinion as a someone. Yes, you are part of family, of course. You are Turkish, but you know the
yes.
other. You can still give some maybe different idea or opinion to us. Like how, if somebody tell you there are a lot of babies and women are in jail, so what do you think after you heard that? Just describe me your opinion. Like what do you think or feel?
And like I said earlier, it really breaks my heart, to hear the stories, and what they're not made up stories, the the reports
Mm,
of like you said, babies in prison, innocent people in prison, and it's sometimes you feel like your hands are tied, like what you just want to help, and you just want to save and take action, but sometimes you feel hopeless because you don't know how or what you can do, you know. So so there's a whole bunch of different feelings, from wanting to take action to feeling very hopeless, you
mm,
know. So so yeah, it's just one of those things that all you can do is pray, really,
yes,
and hope that things will change
yes, and
soon, you know.
soon, yes, soon. I see. Thank you. Like it's. I mean, it's really nice to pray together. Different people you don't know maybe well, but
Mm,
you are praying. We are praying, and we want to know them. We really want to
mm,
be helpful. So pray. Hopefully,
mm.
soon will be fine. So let's now talk about the second part of the question. So which side of Turkey you wanted to go? Like, what did you hear about Turkey?
Well, before I met Stilava, Turkey was one of the countries I wanted to visit.
Okay.
I wanted to do like the whole Mediterranean, countries. So down that side, Cappadocia, obviously. I mean, it's a very well-known city, a touristic city, and the history there. Turkey has so much history, just deep,
True.
deep history. So obviously now married to a Black Sea man. That's now on my list of places to go,
Well,
is up north. Um, and we've got family in Istanbul, so there. But yeah,
definitely you should see Istanbul.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, let's take some advices from you. How many language do you know?
Oh, me. I speak English.
Uh-huh.
And in school, I did Afrikaans, which would be closely compared to Dutch or German.
Mm.
So Afrikaans, and then I did very little Zulu, which is an African language. and now I'm learning Turkish. So I can only speak one language very well, and that's English. And
Yes.
then I can speak little bits of the other languages.
So many are our friends now in different part of the world, and they need to learn second language. And they are aged. Maybe some of them are young because they move with their kids, and some
Yes,
are middle age. So,
yes.
what might be your advice while they are learning new language?
Um, just do it. Just try. Don't be afraid. I need to take my own advice because I sometimes am afraid that I will never speak it. I'll never speak another language. I'm too old to learn another language. Um, but I need to. What you need to do is just persevere and expose yourself to it. So we're always listening, watching Turkish TV shows, and for my baby now, I have the Turkish nursery rhymes playing, and so I'm hoping that as she learns to talk, I'll learn Turkish as well.
Yes, you learn from her.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
good. You're right. I agree with your advices. Like you need to expose yourself to language, and age might be a little matter because, and also their trauma. Like people still thinking what's happening in Turkey, and it will affect their memorization maybe. But we need
Yeah,
to focus what we have to do, and we
yeah.
need to learn how to deal with it. So my
Yeah.
other question is how we can integrate it better to the new world. What you can suggest? Like, do we need to afraid like they will accept us or not? Do we need to afraid from our own identity, being Muslim? What do you think?
I think integration, in order to happen, people again, going back to those three keys that I spoke earlier, with respect, love, kindness, and then I would add to that in saying you mustn't let fear be a factor. Fear of um, something different, because in order to integrate with a different culture, you have to be, I would say, a good listener. you
Mm-hmm.
know you have to not be fearful or shy. You just sit and have tea with someone, or and listen. Just be a good listener, because when you listen, you realize that there's not much that
Difference.
makes people different.
True.
you know Everyone battles the same fears. Everyone battles the same or economic struggles sometimes, and you can learn from each other. So I think fear is a barrier that you have to get over, and you have to approach people with respect, love, kindness, and listen.
Listen, thank you. That's great. And you just remind me something so important. Because we want to integrate it. Also, there are some things we are deal with. Actually, our neighbors maybe already done, already know. Like everybody want to protect their family, right? And you want to choose the best school for your child. So this is your neighbor who should know already. So you can go and ask. We should be able to ask each other
Yeah.
those questions and listen. You're right.
There's a wealth of wisdom and knowledge out there. People hold it to themselves because they've got no one to share it to, or they don't know that they even carry it. But when you talk and listen to one another, you realize, oh, they can give me good advice.
True.
And then you wouldn't have known.
True, true, true. That's perfect. What about like one last question I will ask. So, if you have a chance to give like I'm always talking about the advice because you're experiencing something great. You live in the country, people are speaking maybe different languages you know for. Maybe you're not speaking well, but you know for. So, and
One
you her
day.
husband's from different nationality, and you are, mashallah, perfectly fine in it. Perfect, mashallah, family you have. So that's why your advices are important. So if you will give three advice, but think about the young generation, newcomers, like the people who move from Turkey to different countries. Think
Mhm.
about those differences. So what it might be your three advice for those people?
Start with. For the advice for the group of people staying in Turkey would be that to continue to pray, always pray for your country, because sometimes you can't always speak out, but God will always provide, and He will always turn things to the good. So sometimes all you can do is pray, trust, and wait. So I would say to them, pray, trust, and wait. Okay. My advice for those that have left their home and are now having to live in a different country would be to not isolate yourself, to to put yourself out there in meeting people and becoming involved in your new community, because sometimes when you isolate yourself, you can miss home more, and become depressed, and your mental health becomes affected. So find and it's easier said than done. It's sometimes very hard to put yourself out there, but um, when you do, you find special people that can show you love and encourage you and uplift you, and everyone needs someone that they can lean on. So yeah, find a community that will include you, and if you don't at first, try again, because and again, I think the same would apply for those that are staying in Turkey. To those outside of Turkey, would be to pray,
Pray.
wait, trust, because those are essential, just essential life life
Foundation.
foundations. Yeah. So but I would say to those living outside of their country is to find a community that you feel at home with.
Yeah, they feel belong.
Yeah, feel like you belong. And sometimes that will be a completely different culture to your own, because like I said, there's not much that separates each other. My advice for the younger generation would be to respect themselves and to respect others. You there's a scripture that says, "Do unto others what you would do to you," and I think people, or the younger generation, like I said earlier about the cultural, the selfish, self-absorbed culture that we're sort of found ourselves in, the younger generation is mixed up in that, and they need to respect themselves and also others, and because everyone is going through something. So yes, on social media they might look like they're wearing fancy clothes, or going on these fun holidays, or but those are just pictures, And at the end of the day, people are scared and they sad and they feel emotions just like you. And so spend less time in front of a screen and speak to people, talk to people, have conversation, and you find that you're all the same at the end of the day. But in order to do that, you need to respect others, and you need to love others, and you need to be kind and respect yourself, your body, respect your parents, respect your grandparents, respect your siblings, because they all are love you unconditionally. So love yourself enough to respect yourself is what I would say.
It's really, hopefully they will listen. And one thing I say, maybe for all three groups, there are always opportunities to
Yes,
grow and be happy again. What you said,
yes,
it was a great advice. Go and find another maybe community who will give you a hug, who will embrace you. Like there are always
yes,
opportunities for work, for language, for new life.
yes,
And hopefully we will remind that to each other. And it's going to
yes.
be a better world again.
So
Thank you so much, Kate, for this lovely conversation.
thank you for having me, and I hope we can speak again soon.